Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the class. So today's lectures will be dedicated to chapter number 11, which is about stock market line and beta. So still, in the same path, we have seen how to build an efficient portfolio using risky assets. So we have learned how to build first the envelope portfolio, then how to identify the efficient frontier from this, this envelope portfolio. Then we have learned how to build the variance covariance matrix starting from stock prices. Today we'll examine the stock market line, which is one of the most important applications for the capital asset pricing model, the KPM. So the KPM was a revolution in modern finance, and it was rewarded by a Nobel Prize for economics. So one of the primary consequences of the KPM is the stock market line. So let's move to chapter number 11. So by the way, I've sent an Excel file on the WhatsApp group, so please download it. So this is chapter number 11, estimating betas and the security market line, or the abbreviation is the SML. So the capital asset pricing model of the KPM is one of the two most influential innovations in financial theory in the latter half of the 20th century. So by integrating the portfolio decision with utility theory and the statistical behavior of asset prices, the formulators of the KPM defined the paradigm which is now generally used for the analysis of stock prices. So there are two empirical implications for the KPM. First, the CML, then the SML. So the CML stands for capital market line. So it defines the individual optimal portfolios for an investor interested in the mean and variance of the optimal portfolio. That's what we have seen all along, the previous chapters, how to build, the efficient portfolio based on individual preferences regarding risk and return. Now, the second application for the KPM is the stock market line. So the SML is about individual securities, not portfolios, individual securities. The good thing with the SML is that it will allow the investor or the financial analyst to undertake an investment decision, which means we will identify now which stocks are overpriced and which ones are underpriced. The SML is supposed to produce or to display the fair price or the fair return for any stock, right? So what you will do after finding the fair price or the fair return for the SML, that you will compare it with the market return or the market price, the observed market price. Now, if the return of the market price is under the SML or above the SML, this means that we are facing dysfunction in the market, and there is a possibility of arbitrage. If not, if the observed return or price is equal to the SML return, this means that the market is efficient. So the SML is one of the most important applications for the KPM. That's why we call it stock or securities market line. Security market line, not capital market line. So the CML stands for the whole portfolio, while the SML stands for individual securities. So it will be useful to assess the performance of each stock individually. Now, there is two cases when we work with the SML in the presence of a risk-free asset or without risk-free assets. So we just consider the case one, which is when the risk-free asset exists, which is the treasury bills. So let's start by identify the theoretical framework الإطار النظري. First, we have what we call the individual optimization. We assume that investors optimize based on the expected return and standard deviation of their portfolio. That's what we call the mean variance preference, which means that any investor, when he will take a decision, he will take into account two factors, both return and risk. So we measure the return by the mean or the average, and we measure the risk by the variance or the standard deviation. So the KPM states that each individual investor's optimal portfolio falls on the line ERP is equal to RF plus sigma P expected RX minus RF, where portfolio X is a portfolio which maximizes the Sharpe ratio, which is expected return of Y minus RF divided by sigma Y, and Y is the set of feasible portfolios. Now, if I want to simplify this assumption, I can draw the following graph. So let me just move to the graph. So this is the SML. So the SML is defined by the following equation, which is the expected return of any individual securities, I call it I, is equal to RF plus sigma I ER X minus RF. Sorry. See, so ERP, so this is the individual securities, is equal to the minimum is the risk-free interest rate offered by the treasury bill plus the risk of the stock itself times, it's what you call the risk premium or the reward of the risk. So this is, or the, the risk premium or the extra return or the excess return of the portfolio X compared to RF. Now, X is a portfolio composed by risky assets, which maximizes the Sharpe ratio, which is ERY minus RF divided by sigma Y. Y is the feasible portfolio. Now, we know that the set of feasible portfolios for risky assets is the following one. So we have here the standard deviation, and we have the expected return. The feasible portfolios are the portfolios on and within this frontier, right? Now, we look to find the best feasible portfolio, which maximizes ERY minus RF divided by sigma Y. This is what we call the Sharpe ratio. The Sharpe ratio. So the Sharpe ratio is what we call the reward to volatility or risk reward. This is, on the numerator, you have here the excess return of the portfolio Y compared to the risk-free assets. Now, to understand this assumption, you have to think as, or to put yourself, or to think as an investor. Now, as an investor, you have the choice between investing your money in a bank deposit, for example, on a treasury bills, or investing in a stock, in a security, financial security, right? If you put your money in a bank deposit, Is there any risk if you put your money in a bank deposit?
No.
There is no risk, صح?
Yes.
This is the risk-free rate. If you put your money in a bank account or bank deposit, you will probably receive 1%, 2%, 3% annually. So the RF is the risk-free interest rate. Now, if one of your classmates or one of your friends try to convince you to draw your money from this bank account and invest it, for example, in a Rajhi stock or an Aramco stock or Al stock, is there any risk when you put your money in Tadawul?
Yes.
Absolutely. So you are moving from a situation with no risk to a new situation with risk. To accept this challenge, you will ask for a higher return. So you will tell your friend, look, right now I'm putting my money in a bank account and I receive 3%, right? Without issues, without any problems, without any concerns. So I'm stress relief. I have no stress and I receive 3%. If you want me to invest my money in Tadawul and expose myself to risk, I will ask for no less than 10%. So 10% is the ERY. So you are asking for 7% more than the bank account, right? Or the bank deposit. So the difference between the return of a risky asset and the return of risk-free asset is called the excess return or the risk premium. The risk premium. Now, you will get, for example, 7% more of risk, 7%, of more return. And when you put your money in the bank deposit, you have zero risk. Now, for example, suppose that you will put your money in Aramco stock, and Aramco stock has standard deviation of 15%. This simply means that you are asking for a Sharpe ratio of 7% divided by 15% is almost 0.5. Now, if we want to interpret this result, you are asking for 0.5 more return per unit of risk. For each extra unit of risk, you will ask for 0.5 extra unit of return to accept this, the situation. Every time the Sharpe ratio is going up, it is beneficial for the investor. بمصلحة المستثمر. لما نقول Sharpe ratio يجي مثلا Sharpe ratio equal to 0.8. ايش معنى 0.8? For each unit of risk, you are rewarded by 0.8 unit of return. على كل واحدة من المخاطرة تاخذ مكافأة 0.8. If the Sharpe ratio, for example, is equal to 1.2, it is even better because for each unit of risk, you are rewarded by 1.2 units of return. Now, every envelope portfolio here, see here, has a Sharpe ratio. But we look for the highest Sharpe ratio, the best one. The best one is the tangency point between, suppose this is RF, 3%, for example, in this example, 3%. So, sorry. So this is the portfolio X, which is the best portfolio Y in this frontier. By best, I mean with the highest, which maximize the Sharpe ratio, right? So this line, which is defined by 2 points, RF and the portfolio X, is called the SML, stock market line. You can, for example, if you want, for example, to build an SML using this portfolio, this envelope portfolio and RF, you will get this line. But this line is under this one, right? So this one is better. For example, if you want to build an SML using these 2 points, RF and this envelope portfolio. We'll have another line here, but still it is worse than the other one, the two other ones, because see, you are below the SML here. Now, if we want, for example, to build an SML using this portfolio and RF, this portfolio is not feasible. So you cannot build it, right? So your best performance is the tangency point between the frontier here, the envelope frontier, and the risk-free asset, which is the SML, right? Now, if you observe the return of any given security here on the SML, the market is fair enough. The market is efficient. If you observe that the market price is above or below the SML, there is a problem here. There's an issue on the market, and you can, exploit these discrepancies to make gains. So we'll see it later on how to do it. Sorry. So this is, as I told you, the X, which is the tangency point, right? Now the X can be computed by using the Z portfolio. Remember, S minus 1 ER minus RF divided by the sum of S minus 1 ER minus RF. So this is Z proportion and the X proportion that we have seen during the last chapter. Then we have, so this is the general equilibrium. Sorry, it's individual optimization. Then we have the second hypothesis is the general equilibrium. If all investors agree about the statistical assumptions of the model variance covariance matrix S and the vector of expected returns ER and the risk-free asset exists, then all the investors should choose the same SML. It's a very important assumption here. Let me just repeat it. Now we suppose here that since we are or we belong all to the same market, right? We have access to the same information. We all are rational, عقلانيين. We all use the mean variance approach, right? So we are all supposed to have to undertake the same decision, since we are all sharing the same information, the same environment. So we should take the same decision because we are all rational. كلنا عقلانيين عن نفس المعلومات. المفروض ناخذ نفس القرار. هذا هو العقل شغول. That's what they call the general equilibrium. يعني الحين طلعنا من الفرد الواحد، قلنا لا، بما انه كلنا نفكر بنفس الطريقه، كلنا عن نفس المعلومه، يعني the market is supposed to be efficient. And one of the most important assumptions for the market efficiency is the access to information with no cost. There's no private information. All information are accessible to everyone with no cost. All right. So since we are all rational, we are supposed to undertake the same decision and make the same expectations. That's why ERI is the individual stock, is equal to at least to the risk-free asset plus ERM. Now we are replacing X with the market portfolio M, which is the Dow, for example, index, or S&P 500 index, or Dow Jones 30 index, and so on, minus RF multiplied by, now instead of sigma P, now we replace the risk measure by the beta. In the SML, we no longer measure the risk by the standard deviation, we measure it by the beta. Let me just beta. See here, we used to measure the risk by the standard deviation, صح? Now with the SML, we'll have the following formula. ERI, the expected return of an individual stock, is equal to at least أقل شيء the risk-free asset plus the beta of this individual stock, ERM minus RF. RM is the return or expected return of the market portfolio. RF is the treasury bill interest rate. The beta here replaces sigma. Absolutely. But instead of you use the KPM for the whole portfolio, use it for individual stocks. The beta, as we all know, is equal to the covariance between this stock I and the market divided by the variance of the market. Now, you can ask me a question, why are we replacing sigma I by beta I? Remember what you have seen during the chapter number 5, I think, or 8, chapter number 8. We agree that the total risk of a stock is measured by its variance or standard deviation, right? صح? This total risk is composed by two factors: the systematic risk and the specific risk, what we call the idiosyncratic risk. The specific risk can be eliminated by diversification, but the systematic risk, we cannot, eliminate this risk because it is due to the market, and we cannot eliminate the market. So that's why since we can eliminate the specific risk, we just consider the market which is due to the, the risk which is due to the market, which is the beta I. See the beta I here? It measures the sensitivity of the stock to any movement in the market risk. I have here the covariance RI, RM. So the covariance measure the interaction between the stock and the market, divided by the total risk of the market. Every time beta I is too high, more than 1, we say that this stock is an aggressive stock, or offensive stock, hujumi, which means when you invest your money in an aggressive stock, you will amplify the movement of the market. By amplifying, I mean you will keep the same direction, but with more amplitude. Let me just give you an example. If beta I is equal to 2, for example, 2, which means more than 1. If the market is going up by 1%, this stock will go up by 2%. See? So both the market and the stock are going or are moving in the same direction, but the stock is faster than the market, is more sensitive to any movement of the market. And inversely, if the market will lose 1%, the stock will lose 2%. So both of them are moving in the same direction, whether they are up or down, but the stock is moving faster than the market, right? Now suppose that beta I is equal to 0.5, less than 1. This simply means that if the market will go up by 1%, the stock will go up by 0.5%. If the market is going down by 0.5%, by 1%, sorry, the stock will go down by minus 0.5%. So still, they are moving in the same direction, but now the stock is slower, is more conservative than the market. Now, suppose the beta is negative now, less than 0. Let's say beta is equal to -1. This means that this stock, this particular stock, will move in an opposite direction of the market. If the market go up, the stock will go down, and inversely, if the market go down, the stock will go up. Now, the aggressive stocks are very useful when the market is in growth stage. نقول الماركت في النمو، خليك على ما يسمى aggressive stock، لأنه بيخلي ربحك أكثر من الماركت نفسه. Now, if the market is in recession, put your money on defensive stock to reduce your losses, right? That's why it's very important to know the sign of beta and also the magnitude of beta. كم كبر البيتا هذه. So the beta is very important tool for any financial analyst because it will give you insights on which stocks should you consider for your investment. Now, case 2, so we'll skip it. We just focus on the case we have a risk-free asset. Now, in this chapter, we look at some typical capital market data and replicate a simple test of the descriptive part of the KPM. This means that we have to calculate the betas for a set of assets, and we then have to determine the equation of the security market line. The test is in this chapter and is the simplest possible test of the KPM. So now we use the SML to test the validity of the KPM. Now, typical test of the security market line start with return data on a set of risky assets. The steps in the test are as follows. First one, we have to determine a candidate for the market portfolio M. Because we know that the SML is based on the market portfolio. So we have to identify a market portfolio. So the market portfolio is supposed to englobe, يعني يجمع all risky assets in the economy, right? Which is practically impossible. We cannot build a portfolio with all risky assets in the, in the economy. So I give an example of one risky asset: the human capital, الموارد البشرية, is a risky asset. But can you find something called human resources in Tadawul or in S&P 500 or in Dow Jones, right? So there are some things that cannot be included in the portfolio market. So we have to find a proxy. We cannot find 100% market portfolio. We have to find a proxy مقرب شيء يقرب للماركت portfolio. That's why we generally use the index, the stock index. For example, Saudi Tadawul. For Japan, you have Nikkei. For UK, United Kingdom, we have FTSE, I think. For US, we have several types of indexes. We have S&P 500, we have Russell, we have also Amex. So we have all sorts of index, but the most famous one is the S&P 500. Then next step, for each of the assets in question, determine the asset beta, which is the covariance divided by the variance of the market. It's what you call the first pass regression. So first, you have to define or identify a market portfolio or a proxy for a market portfolio. Second step, you have to determine the beta using the SML for each individual stock. Then you have to regress the mean returns of the assets. So please pay attention here to this particular point. There is a slight difference between step number 2 and step number 3. For step number 1, we regress all the data, whether it is whether we have daily data, monthly data, weekly data, annual data, right? We regress all the data to find the beta. For the third, third step, we regress the mean returns, not all the data, just the averages. Regression نستعمل المتوسط بس. So we have to pay attention to this particular point. Regress the mean returns of the assets on their respective betas that we have identified in the previous step. And we have this, what we call the second pass regression. See here, we have R bar I, not RI, because RI is the return. R bar I is the mean return, the average return, is equal to gamma 0 plus gamma 1 beta I. So in the first pass regression, the unknown coefficients are the beta. By doing the first pass regression, we identify the beta. Then for the second pass regression, the beta is already known because we have already computed them during the first pass regression. But the unknown variable as the gamma 0 and the gamma 1. Now, if the KPM is in its descriptive format holds, then the second pass regression should be the security market line. So these are the different steps we have to learn and practice, and these steps are very important because they give you insights on the validity of the KPM. Because the KPM, it might be one of the most important revolutions in modern finance, but sometimes it doesn't hold for for some periods of time or for some economies. So it's not 100% reliable model. So that's why we do these tests to know if the SML hold for a particular context or not. Right, let's practice now. So please download your the Excel file. Chapter 11 data. So we have here monthly data, real data, okay? We have 2 indexes and we have 30 individual stocks. The 2 indexes are the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones 30, called Dow Jones Industrial Average 30. So the Dow Jones 30 is composed by the 30 biggest companies in the US market, while the S&P 500 is composed by the 500 biggest companies in the US market. So the Dow Jones is more selective. The S&P is more appropriate to be a market portfolio because it is more extensive. So we'll choose the S&P 500 as the market portfolio, right? Now, the 30 individual stocks are the one that are included in the Dow Jones. Now we'll try to know how much these individual stocks of the Dow Jones are impacted or influenced by the whole market represented by the S&P 500. As I told you, there are 3 types of interactions. We can have aggressive stocks, we can have defensive stocks, and we can have also defensive stock with negative beta, right? So what would be your first task, guys? Absolutely. The first task is to convert these prices into returns. هذا أول شيء. Because the SML is about return, not about prices, is about return. So you have to transform all these prices into returns. Then your second task is to make the individual regression of each one of these stocks on each one, yes, on the S&P 500 index. Alcoa with S&P 500, AIG with S&P, AXP with S&P, Boeing with S&P, Citigroup, Caterpillar, and so on and so on. Because the SML, remember, is about individual stocks. For each stock, you have to be able to to find or to characterize the stock market line. So it might seem difficult for you, but you'll see by practicing, it's very easy to do, right? But now let's start by the first task, which is transforming these prices into returns. So we have here the dates which are ordered from the oldest to the most recent. So we can leave this data the same way, or we can reorder them from the most recent one to the oldest one.
Switch that, only highlight the dates, right?
Yes. So if you want to switch them, so just you have to select the date here, column, then sort and filter from newest to oldest. Then you have to expand the selection and click on sort. And that's it. Or we can leave them as they are given to you. It's up to you. مش رايك نخليهم مثل ما هم او نغيروهم من most recent؟ شو على التغيير ها؟ So we have to select the date. So please follow me. I have to select the date column. Then you have to go to sort and filter. Okay, sort and filter. Then you have to sort from the newest to oldest. Then click. شو؟ وش سؤال؟ Okay, so sort from newest to oldest. Click on sort. Then see, you have to expand the selection so you can make the transformation for the remaining columns. So then sort, and that's it. So I will select the two first, rows, copy them, open a new sheet, and then paste them. And I will replace the prices by returns. Then I will select all the dates here and copy them. Now we have to compute the returns. Are you ready؟ جاهزين؟ كل نفس المستوى؟ طيب. Then we start by the S&P 500. So equal to the logarithm. Now go to data. The one of July divided by the one of June 2007. Then close the parenthesis. Okay, guys. Now we double click on it, so we'll have the remaining returns. Then you go, see, so automatically we lose the last observation. Then we click on the right corner and sorry. So still we don't reach. And we go to until the cell AG. Have to select it all until AG. So for example, to check this one, Excel mobile. So it's the formula text for Excel mobile. I have to check our approach. So say data AG3 by AG4. If I go to data here, AG3 by AG4. So that's right. Now we can select all these numbers.
دكتور
سامي
معلش ممكن تعيد ترتيب الأرقام من الأحدث
طيب so I'll transform them into percentage. طيب بالنسبة للأحدث والأقصى يعني هذا انتم الداتا عندكم زي كده صح؟ طب عندكم حل من الاثنين، اما تخلوا الداتا زي ما هي بس انتبهوا انه بعد لما تحسبوا الريتيرن تحطوا الاوجست بعد جولاي، سبتمبر وبعده يجي اوجست، دايما تبدأوا بالاحدث وقسمه الاولدست يعني، او انك من الاول تنظم الداتا كلها. So you have to select the date column كلها هذه. Then you have to go to sort and filter. I have two options: sort oldest to newest or newest to oldest. So we look to have the newest dates first. So click on sort newest to oldest. So a new window will pop up and we'll have two options: expand the selection, which means you have to expand the selection to the other columns, or continue with the current selection, which is just the dates. So we choose to expand the selection because we have to reorder the remaining, columns from the newest to oldest. Then click on sort and automatically Excel will reorder all the data from the newest to oldest. بس. Now these are the monthly returns for S&P 500 index, Dow Jones index, and the 30 individual stocks, right? Now your next step is what you call the first pass regression. For this first pass regression, we should be able to find the beta for each one of these 30 stocks, right? So I will insert new rows above here. I'll call it first pass regression. remember, this is the first pass regression. We want to identify the coefficients of the SML, stock market line. So this is the SML equation, expected return of the return of each individual stock is equal to RF plus beta I, expected return of the market, minus RF. So this is when we have, expectations. But when we have observed data, historical data, like our example here, we will have RI is equal to RF plus beta I RM minus RF. RI here is the return for individual stock. Beta I is the beta for the stock itself. RM is the return of the market portfolio. In our case, is the S&P 500. So our variables are RI, which is what you call the dependent variable, RM, which is the independent variable, RF, beta I are constants, right? So the variable متغيراتهم RI and RM.
Understand in 2007, July 2nd, 1.79.
Sorry?
RM.
RM.
In 2007, 1.79.
Yes. For the month of July.
Low.
For 1 month. No, absolutely not. Because maybe you are confusing the monthly return and the market and the annual return. This one 1.7% is the monthly return, right? If you want to have the annual return, you multiply it by 12. So get approximately 20%.
Should add the whole 12 months.
No. This is the monthly return, right? For every month. So you will convert, if you want to have annual data, you will convert each monthly return to annual return by multiplying it by 12. 12 times 1.7, it's almost, I think almost 20%. Which is almost high for one year.
But if you add for June, minus 1.8. If you add the whole.
لا مو كده نشتغل لا. If you want the annual return.
Yeah, it should get taken.
No, you will. You cannot add. If you want annual return, you will take the return for the first day of the year, right? Or the price of the first day of the year and the price of the last day of the year.
Okay.
Right? Then you will subtract end of year minus start of year divided by start of year. You will get the annual return. What we're doing now is to compute monthly return, right? طيب. If I want to develop this, this equation, we'll have RI is equal to RF plus beta I times RM minus beta I times RF, صح? We want to develop this expression. As I told you, RF, beta I, and RF here are all constant, scalar, أرقام. The only variable is the RM and RI, right? So I can rewrite it as following: alpha I plus beta I RM. Alpha I and beta I are constants. These are the two coefficients to estimate. Beta I is also called the slope of the regression. منحدر أو منحنى regression. Alpha I is called the intercept, or the beginning of the line. So we start from alpha I, then we go up or we go down. So this one is the intercept. This one is the slope. of the regression. We have the RI and we have the RM. So we can easily find alpha I and beta I by doing the linear regression using the least squares technique, the ordinary least square technique, what's called the OLS technique, ordinary least squares technique. Now, let's see how to practice this one on Excel. So I will add here a new row and I'll call it average. I need the average return for each one of these columns. Then the beta, then the slope, then, sorry, the slope is the beta. So the intercept, sorry, the intercept, the R squared of the regression, called RSQ, T-intercept, I will explain you what do we mean about T-intercept. Maybe we'll call it start by T-slopes first, then T-intercept. T-slope, then the T-intercept. So this is the T-student. T-intercept. So T-slope and T-intercept are the T-student for the regression. It's a very important, tool. So we have here all the individual stocks and as well as the indexes. So we have to compute the average returns for each one of these columns, the beta, the intercept, the R squared for the regression, the T slope or T students of slope, and the T or T students of for the intercept. Let's start by the average. كنا مع نفس المستوى. Are you ready? So we start by the average. So equal to the average of the return of S&P 500 until August 97. So we don't select July because we don't have data for July. So actually we can eliminate July. Then close the parentheses. So on average, SP 500 is earning 0.4% almost every month. So I told you I can eliminate this line. We don't need it anymore. Then we scroll to the right hand side and you'll get the returns for the other individual stocks. Right. Now, the most important part, identify the beta, the intercept, the R squared of the equation, the significant level for our estimates for the slope and the intercept. Now let's start by Dow Jones with the S&P 500. So we try to measure the interaction between Dow Jones index and S&P 500 index, right? So equal to slope we start, you have to pay attention here, we start with the y variable, the dependent variable, not the explanatory variable, not the independent variable. So we have to distinguish here. So most of the mistakes made by students during the exam when they deal with stock market line is they are confusing y variable and x variable. In the regression, the y variable means the dependent variable. المتغير الديبندنت التابع. The x variable is the independent variable المتغير المستقل. The x variable is the one that impacts, that influence the y variable. التأثير يطلع من x يروح على الواي. الواي ما تأثر على الاكس، اللي يأثر هنا الاكس يأثر على الواي. حلو؟ هذا التفكير كله يعني. So for all these columns, the biggest market is the S&P 500, right? So this is the one supposed to influence the smallest market, which is the Dow Jones and the individual stocks. So the X variable is the returns of S&P 500.
The main one.
حلو؟
The main one.
ذكروها هذه. When you will try to estimate the coefficients for the SML, the slope, you place first the y variable, then the x variable, which is the inverse of the chart. When we build the chart, we start first by putting the x variable, then the y variable. For the slope, it is the inverse. You start first by the y variable, then the x variable. So in such case, so the y variable is the Dow Jones, return. So we have to select, the Dow Jones return. So this one. Then comma. Then وشو؟ 30 صح. هذا هو المتغير التابع، هو اللي يعني اللي يتم التأثير عليه. Now the independent variable, the one who will influence the dependent variable is the S&P 500 returns, right? And since S&P 500 هذه يا عيال هذه كلها, it is fixed the same for Dow Jones, Alcoa, AIG, AXP, Boeing, Citigroup, Caterpillar, and so on, and DuPont, and so on and so on. So we should fix the X variable. So we'll first select the X variable. See here. Then we'll add a dollar sign. Then close the parentheses. So through this formula, I'm asking Excel to estimate the beta coefficient between Dow Jones and S&P 500. Click on OK. 0.9432. See, it's very close to 1, very close to 1. There is a big interaction between S&P and Dow Jones. So they are moving in the same direction with almost the same magnitude. واضح؟ وشو ياسر؟ Now, no need to repeat this equation for the remaining columns, since we have fixed already the x variable. So I have just to scroll it down, scroll it to the right-hand side. And here we are. And this is the formula text. For ExxonMobil, for example, it is 0.5, which means that ExxonMobil is a defensive stock. For example, United Technologies is an offensive stock, an aggressive stock. Microsoft is an aggressive stock. McDonald's, for example, is almost equal to 1. So McDonald's is the one which would call duplicates the market movement. If you buy McDonald's, as if you have bought the market portfolio, because McDonald's is very close to 1. It's moved the same direction and with the same path, with the same amplitude also than the market. Now, JP Morgan, very aggressive stock. Intel also is very aggressive stock, almost equal to 2. General Electric, for example, this one is almost like the market, moves like the market. So instead of buying the whole market portfolio, you can buy just General Electric.
دكتور
سم
دكتور ما طلع معانا بالماينس، ممكن يطلع بالماينس لو في ارقام ثانيه يعني؟
البيتا عادي يطلع بالماينس، يطلع بالماينس يمكن.
بس هو السوق يعني ما في ماينس.
صح، هنا في الحاله اللي ما فيه. هنا في عندك اما اجريسيف ستوك او ديفنسيف، عفوا ديفنسيف ستوك. اي صح. يعني لما يكون عندك اكثر من واحد ستوك، هذا يتبع نفس حركه الماركت، بس وشه اقوى من الماركت. فربح الخساره ترى، يعني يكسب اكثر من الماركت ويخسر اكثر من الماركت بعد. مثلا هنا 0.82 هذا مثلا بوينج، او مثلا جوبون، هذا جوبون 0.8. يعني لما تشتري جوبون، اذا الماركت طلع ب 1% انت تطلع 0.8%، بس اذا ماركت خسر تخسر اقل من الماركت. So the general implication is that when you expect the market to grow up during the next week, invest in aggressive stocks. But when you expect the market to go down during the next weeks, invest in defensive stock, so you can moderate your losses. Let me just repeat. If you expect the market to go up during the next weeks, so you expect the market to make earnings, صح? In such case, invest your money in offensive stocks, because offensive stocks amplify the movement of the market. So because you expect the market to earn, for example, 5%. In such case, I will buy, for example, Intel, the Intel stock. Which one? Intel. This one. If the market will go up by 1%, if I buy Intel, I will earn 1.84%, almost double of the market. But unfortunately, if my expectations are wrong, and if the market will lose 1%, if I invest in Intel, I will lose minus 1.84%. So I will lose more than the market, sorry. So if you have an aggressive stock, hold it, خلي عندك, if you expect the market to go up. But if you expect the market to go down, sell it, and replace it by a defensive stock like DuPont, for example, because for DuPont you will lose less than the market. That's why the beta is very important indicator for any financial analyst. Okay, guys. Now the intercept. There's a function called intercept for the regression. Same thing. We select first the y, the data for y variable. Then we select the data for the x variable, which is the S&P 500. We keep this column fixed. So we add the dollar sign. And then we close the parentheses. And then scroll it to the right-hand side. So the beta are, see here, very close to 0. Now the R squared. So the R squared measures the linearity of the model. I guess you have seen the R squared in statistics, صح? When you make the regression, you need to know the R squared to know how much the independent variable explain the movement of the dependent variable. R squared هدفها وشو تقيس لك linearity of the regression. Every time R squared is higher, it is a good sign. For example, if you find that R squared is equal to 80%, 80%, this means that the movement of the S&P 500 explain 80% of the movement of the Dow Jones, and the remaining 20% are due to other hidden variables we don't know. يعني 20% من تغيرات الداو جونز راجعة الأسباب ما نجهلها. Now, if you want to find, for example, R squared equal to 5%, this means that only 5% of the movement of the Dow Jones is explained by the movement of Standard & Poor's index, and 95% are explained by other variables we still don't identify. In finance, when you have an R squared of 20% or more is acceptable. في التمويل بتلاقي 20% R squared أو أقل من 20% معقول. أقل من 10% لا. Right? So with related finance مثلا 80% R squared 90% R squared هنا أنت في عندك خطأ. في الفاينانس R squared تكون مرة مرتفعة مو كويس. It's not a good sign. And too low, it's always still not a good sign. In finance, R squared of almost 20% is acceptable, is a good good threshold, right? So let's see the R squared. So equal RSQ. Same thing here. We select first the Y variable. Then the X variable. And as usual, we fix this column. And then we close the parentheses. 85%. So here 37%, 35. So we don't care much about Dow Jones because we care more about individual stocks, right? So 0.15, 51, 22, 24. So they're acceptable as R squared. 43, 28. The last one is almost 18%. So they are pretty acceptable as R squared. Now, please pay attention. Now, one more important step. In regression, it is not sufficient. It's not enough to find the beta or the estimates for the beta or the intercept. You have to be sure that these estimates are significantly different from zero. لما تسوي regression اسمه estimates يعني تقدير صح ولا؟ والتقدير ممكن يكون صح ممكن يكون خطأ. So when you make estimates, with the regression technique, there is still probability that your estimates is on the wrong side, right? So that's why we use what we call the T student. So the T students give you the probability that your estimates are wrong, or probability that your estimates are significantly different from zero, right? When you have a T of students higher than 1.96, remember this value, higher than 1.96, this is a good value. This means that the risk that your estimates is wrong is less than 5%. Let me just repeat. If you find a T student equal or higher than 1.96, 1.96, this is a good result. This means that your estimates, the one we have found here, the beta and the intercept, are significantly different from zero. with more than 95% of probability. عند 95% فمع أكثر احتمالات أنه شغلك صح. If you want more precision, you can use t equal to 2.16. If you have a t of students equal to 2.16 or higher, you are sure by 99% that your result is a good one. And your error is just 1%. But generally speaking, we use 1.96 as an acceptable threshold for the finals, right? Now, how to find the t-slope? Unfortunately, Excel didn't give you, the t-slope function, the slope or t-intercept function. So you have to use the Visual Basic, editor. So for me, I have already, these functions, but how can you implement these functions in your Excel? So please open a new Excel file. تبغى ناخذ بريك وبعدين نواصل. لانه بلشوا التركيز الفيجوال بيزك هذا. So let's take a break. سم.
معلش بس ليه ما نستخدم دايركت الريجريشن اناليسيس تول؟
اي واحد.
الكل السوق مع الشركة.
اي تعطيك الستودنت هي.
ايه اتوقع.
لا مو متوقعين. نشوف.
اقصد حتى قبل مع البيتا والانترسبت بدل ما نحسبهم يعني.
فهمتك. مع اسمه الكيت حق الاناليسيس تول هذا.
يس.
لا خلي على جنب هذا. احيانا بتلاقي ما تلاقيه في كل الفيرجن حق الاكسل، ومو كله فيهم التي اوف ستودنت، وعشان كده بنستعمل الفيجوال بيزك هذه. لا هي سهله واحده، مسوي خطوه مره واحده بس وخلاص تضبط معاكم بعدين طول الوقت. في الداتا اناليسيس فيه اسمه في statistical tools. اي فبس ما اتوقع فيهم تي اوف ستودنتس او البي فاليو. لا تي تسلا غير تي اوف ستودنتس، مو نفسها. تي تيست هذه تقيس لك اذا تاخذ تو فاريبلز تو سيت اوف داتا وتشوف هل المينز حقهم significantly different from each one ولا لا. عشان كده اقول لكم انتبهوا، التي تيست يا عيال يا بنات مو زي تي اوف ستودنتس، غير مختلفه تماما. فاللي يعرفوا ما في تي ستودنتس في اسمه في statistical tool حق اكسل، في تي تيست بس التي تول تعرفوا تي اوف ستودنتس مو موجود. لا ما يعطي كل التولز، لا مو يعطي كل التولز. ترى في مثلا لو كان كذا ما كنا استعملنا السات او فيوز او الاكسل، في كل شيء في الستاتستكس، مو زي باقي يعني statistical سوفت ويرز. عشان كده تي ستودنتس نسوي لها اكسترا فورمولا بالفيجوال بيزك. بس سؤالي هل تعطيكم التي ستودنت ساعات تي ستودنت؟ ما في، لانه ما في. هذه سهل نقدر نطلعها اما بالريجريشن تول او نطلعها بعد حتى بالتشارت تول، نطلعها بسهوله يعني. بس تي ستودنت ما في، عشان كده بنسوي لها يعني اكسترا فانكشن. طيب ناخذ بريك وبعدين نرجع نسويها ان شاء الله. طيب السلام عليكم مرة أخرى. نرجع نواصل. So the last point we have reached was how to implement a T student function for both intercept and slope. Unfortunately, Excel didn't afford these functions. They afford the T test, which is not the T student test. It's not the same thing, right? So we have to implement these two functions using the Visual Basic editor. So we can do it each time we open an Excel file, which is not very practical. So the most practical solution is to do it once and then to keep it for the remaining Excel files once we need these two functions. So please open a new workbook. Yes, sorry. So we open a new workbook, right? I'll go to tools here. Then macro, see? So we'll نروح على tools. لا فوق Excel file, edit, view, insert, format, tools, data, window.
دكتور ما عندي تولز.
شو ما عندكم tools؟
عندهم تولز بس تحت الفاضي.
هذه شفتوا هذه مثلا الريجريشن داتا اناليسيس ريجريشن، شوفوا تلاقوا انوفا كورليشن كوفارينس ستاتستيك كذا كذا، بس ما تلاقوا تي ستودنت، تلاقوا تي تيست زد تيست بس but not T students. That's why we have to implement these two functions. Let me just check with the Microsoft. Visual Basic Editor. So let me just check this point. So on Google, دقيقة بس. عندكم ديفلوبر تاب هذه ولا؟ لا موجودة؟ ما في نظام دي عندك ديفلوبر تاب؟
دكتور عندي.
طيب خلينا نشوف اللي ما عندهم وش يسووا. So اللي ما عندهم developer tab, so they go to data Then customize the ribbon here. شفتوا data بعدين customize the ribbon.
اوكي دكتور طلع لي اللي تحت نفسه.
لقيت customize the ribbon او لا؟
اي
طيب حلو. بعدين بتروحوا
لا لحظة دكتور معلش، إذا في أحد ضبطت معاه تسوي له شيرنج عشان نشوفها.
طيب هو اللي يسوي الشير لاني انا بسكر الشير عندي. ستوب شير.
Customize the ribbon.
لا customize. Then after customize you go to developer. شفتوها؟
You have to click right from that.
طيب علي انت عندك تسوي شير سكرين عندك يا علي. خلينا نوريهم شلون يسوون. طيب نظام الدين. Can you share your screen please?
This is
Open your Excel please. It's okay. So go to data, double click, right click on data. See, you have to customize the ribbon. Then see you have the developer, which is unchecked here. So on the right hand side, على اليمين, you have developer here. Not on the left, on the right. Yes. You have the developer under review, view, then developer. See? Yes. So click on developer. Okay. Good. Then you have to click on OK. Okay. Now you have the developer tab. See? واضح بنات ولا شو نسوي؟ الماك تروح على تولز بس تنزل على لا مو ادن، تروح على فيجوال بيزك اديتور.
دكتور هذه إذا ضفناها مرة خلاص مو هيك يعني تفضل في
لسه يعني خلاص طلع ديفلوبر لكل الناس.
دكتور
سم
بالماك كيف نطلعها؟
بالماك خلص مع جماعة المايكروسوفت هذول مساكين هذول، بعدين نمر على الماك.
اوكي
طيب خلصوا، هيروح على الفيجوال بيزك. شفتوا on the left hand side you have visual basic. See? No, please keep sharing your screen, please. Good. Now go to Visual Basic on the right hand side, left hand side, sorry. Yes, that's it. then what's the name of your book one? So pick the book one, Excel one. Working on book one, right? Sheet one. Then right click, then insert, then module. See, let me just repeat. So you have to identify the work that you are working on, which is the VBA project book one, right? Then you go to sheet number one, which is the sheet you have opened. Right click, then you have to insert module. And there is a window that will pop up. So we have to fill this, module.
name of his
اي يعني احنا الفايل فتحنا جديد. حلو، احنا فتحنا فايل جديد. حلو، مهما سميت شوف الفايل فتحته جديد وش اسمه وخليك عليه. طيب كلنا نفس وصلنا نفس المرحله يا عيال بنات.
دكتور
سامي
ترى انا ما عندي بوك 1، يعني عندي اسم عادي.
مو مشكله اي اسم. المهم افتح شو اكسل فايل جديد.
تمام اوكي.
طيب الحين يا جماعه الماك I have to yes please. So for those who have Mac, see, so we go here to tools, sorry, this one, share. So we open your book, right? You go to tools here, see, click on tools and go to macro, then visual basic editor. حلو.
دكتور ما عندي تولز.
في الماك ما عندك تولز؟
أنا مو ماك.
انت يعني ترجع اللي كنا نسولف فيه.
يعني نفس اللي تو عادي.
اي
اوكي.
بعدين فيجوال بيزك اديتور نضغط. شفتوا انا مثلا فاتح اسمه بوك 3. شفتوا شيت 1. go to sheet 1 here. وهذول القديمات بشيلهم، انا اوريدي انا مسويهم ما احتاجهم. so go to so book 3, so sheet 1 here. Then I click with the right side of the with the right side. See, right click. You have insert. Then click on module, or you can directly click on this one. Sorry, not this one. This one. See, insert module, and there is a new window that will pop up for you, right? Now we are ready to insert the function for the t student for the slope. Now the function is available on the textbook. You go to the textbook here. So we need the t-intercept. Is in chapter 3, I think. Chapter 3. The formula is in page 94, right? 94. You have two functions. You have t-intercept and t-slope. So please select the first function in the first box, page 94. Select the function, then copy it. Everything is okay? So did you copy the function? Now move to the Excel file, then paste the function. See, and it's called t-intercept. Everything is okay?
دكتور ممكن دقيقة شوي؟
طيب خذي راحتك.
دكتور بعدين نسوي هذا خلاص يعني
خلاص ما راح الحين ما عاد نحتاج نسويه مرة ثانية. Okay. Then close the module.
دكتور صفحة كمل هذه
94
just click it.
بس.
معليش دكتور ايش سويت بعد ما نسخته؟
فتحنا موديول صح ولا احنا على الموديول فتحناه سوينا بيست وبعدين سكرنا الموديول. You click on X and you close the module وبس. Yes, you close the module. That's it. You close the box. اتفقنا؟ If you do so, see now you see module 1 that will appear here. See in this part of the box. Now we have put the module 1. Now we have to create a new model. So we go here once again, cell and sheet, or we can go sheet here, sheet 1, double click on it, insert new module. Then we go back to Excel and then we select the t-slope function. Same thing, we copy, we go back to Excel, we paste, and we close the box.
دكتور معليش أنا نسخت الأول بعدين إيش أسوي؟
بس سكرين اذا بقى احنا سكري الموديول عندك كده صح ولا لا؟ سكرين تروح هنا اكس يو كلوز ذا بوكس بس.
أوكي. الثاني نفسه أفتحه
نفس الشيء بالضبط.
دكتور
تم.
هذه موديولز هذه بإيش بالعربي؟
ما عندي نسخة عربي بصراحة.
يعني فين ألقى؟ أنا ماني عارفة دحين. يعني سويت الخطوة الأولى وموجودة وبعدين كسوي بنفس الثانية ورقة جديدة.
صح هي.
تمام.
دكتور وين أقدر أتأكد إنهم كلهم موجودين؟
سهلة. شوف لو تلاحظي هنا في البوك ثاني نسميه بوك 3 صح؟ تلاقي تحت مايكروسوفت اكسل اوبجكت بعد تلاقي موديول تحت. Now we have two modules, module 1, module 2. Just click on one of them and it will open the function t-intercept here. You click on module 2 and you got the t-slope here. سهل.
أوكي شكرا.
دكتور
سمي.
تسلم. إذا اللي على اليسار اختفوا وين ألقاهم؟ ضغطت إكس بالغلط واختفوا.
طيب هنا ضغطنا هذه واختفوا.
حتى هذه صارت كبيرة عندي، صارت كل الصفحة
مش
وما أدري
طيب.
كيف أصغر.
سهل. you please close the Microsoft Visual Basic. هتكون سكري. حلو، سكري كله.
أوكي.
then go once
أسوي
again
مرة ثانية.
tools
أوكي.
macro VBE Visual Basic Editor. ما سكر هنا، غريب ليش ما فتح معنا. cancel.
دكتور لقيتها بس ما أدري صح أو لا. شفت علامة الاستفهام؟
علامة
مو
الاستفهام
اللي فوق، مو الأول، لا مو الأول ولا الثاني، الثالث المكتوب عنده project.
Project Explorer. أي صح، حلو. Okay, so now we have module 1, module 2. Now, please close the Microsoft Visual Basic window, all right? Then go to your Excel file and save it. Save. Now pay attention. When you click on save, the file format is not the Excel workbook. Please select Excel add-in. This one, Excel add-in with extension XLAM.
So can I close Microsoft Visual Basic?
Yes. So now save your Excel file. Now the format is Excel add-in .xlam. Okay, then click on the Excel add-in. Yes, then rename it. Maybe I will call it, I don't know, حلاوة. عندما حلاوة بقى هنا حلاوة. Right? Then save. Okay, then save. Then close. Close it. Right? شو؟ Okay, then we go to our initial, Excel file. For those who have, the MacBook, they go to Tools, Excel add-ins. All right. For those who have the Microsoft, they go to File, and they go to Excel add-ins for options. Excel add-ins, you click on it, right? Then you click on Browse, right? Browse. So Excel. So you go to Tools. For those who have the Mac here, Macro. Go to Excel add-ins. You have analysis tool pack, solver add-in. Then you have go to Browse.
دكتور معلش تعيد.
بس اشوف وين سجلت الفايل قبل.
لاصحاب المايكروسوفت تلقون الاد انز بالديفلوبر.
مايكروسوفت هذول.
اي مايكروسوفت يلقونه في الديفلوبر اد انز.
So we go to Tools, Excel add-ins, Browse. سجلت هون. Classroom files here. Course materials. Lecture materials. And you go where you have saved your file. Go see Hello here and open. And yes, see, now we have here Hello, which has been added to your add-ins file. Then click on OK. Okay, guys. Because what did you save in the file? Just share the screen.
دكتور
تم. دقيقة بس الحين جماعة الماك الكل مسوي الادين صح خلاص. طيب جماعة مايكروسوفت الحين اسوي لكم شير سكرين ثانية. Okay, so for those who have Microsoft, so please proceed with the following way. You go to developer, صح? Then you go to Excel add-ins here. Just click on it, right? Then see, you have حلاوة here, which is unchecked. See, click on it. And then click on OK. So that's it. Now, if you type, for example, the function T-intercept, now you find the function here, see? Or for example, T-slow, you'll find the function.
دكتور
تمام.
دكتور
دقيقة بس. وش السؤال؟
الدكتور ما يطلع حلاوة هذا اسم الملف ولا ايش؟
انت هنا سميته حلاوة، وانت وش سميتيه؟
اوكي تمام.
So please close your screen, Ramzi. So I hope everyone has added the new Excel add-in to their Excel file. Now you are supposed to be able to find the two functions. Now, if I type equal TS, automatically I have the T-slope function, which has been added here in your Excel.
ما ينفع على اسم.
أنا
ما
ما
طلعت
عندي
لي دكتور،
وشو؟
ما طلعت لي.
أنا
سويتي
كمان.
طيب سويتوا الادين مثل ما اتفقنا؟ طيب
ماشية معاك.
دقيقة. طيب خلي سوي لي شير سكرين من عندك دقيقة بس.
ما يسوي شير سكرين من عندي دكتور، ماني عارفة ليش.
ايه سوي
أتوقع من
على
الإعداد،
كيفه هو.
من الإعدادات.
انت شغال على الماك صح ولا لا؟ او على
إيه.
طيب حلو. شفتي في الزوم في عندك لما في شاشة الزوم في عندك
إيه،
شاشة سكرين.
أضغط عليها بعدين يطلع لي تبويب فيه إنه شير ديسكتوب ولا وايت بورد ولا
حلو،
آيفون.
حطي ديسكتوب انت.
دكتور يطلع لي open system preferences.
طيب واصلي معاه. برضه اطلب لك الاكسس صح ولا لا؟
ما أدري، ما عرفت دكتور.
طيب مين ثاني عنده مشكلة؟
أنا أروى.
طيب أروى سوي لي شير سكرين من فضلك.
على كمبيوتر تاني استعمله.
طيب شو نساعدكم كذا؟
طيب دقيقة جل.
طيب
دكتور إيش أختار كل الشاشة ولا إيش؟
اللي تبع حطي على اكسل وبس، الاكسل فايل اللي انت فتحته.
مصنف 2. ما أدري هذا
طيب
ولا
يا
لا؟
حلو. طيب هذا وش هو هذا؟
لا كنت أحاول أفتح أجرب مرة ثانية أعيد الخطوات
مو
أقول
مشكله،
يمكن
مو
أنا
مشكله،
غلطان.
مو مشكله. خلنا كده. طيب هذا مو اللي سويناه من شوي صح؟ هذا فايل جديد.
أيوة جديد، كنت أبغى أجرب مرة ثانية.
حلو دقيقة بس. هذا عربي بس خلنا نتأكد بس وش هو. المطور. طيب تعريف الروح. حطي وظائف إضافية هنا يا رب. وظائف إضافية، اضغطي عليها. لا هنا وظائف إضافية، أي حلو هنا.
تمام كده.
بس
هو هذا
اضغطي،
الملف اللي حطيته.
اضغطي على وظائف إضافية.
طيب.
مش ما يفتح ولا شيء.
مم؟
مش ما يفتح ولا شيء. بس إذا عندك بوكس المفروض وظائف إضافية يفتح معاكي بوكس.
المفروض يا دكتور نص اليوتيوب نص نجي مزينين.
فكرة سهلة، مو بذاك التعقيد يعني.
دكتور
سامي.
أسوي شير سكرين من عندي، سويته.
طيب سكري من عندك يا أرو. يلا يا بتول. حلو. طيب حيدا بنروح الحين على تولز. حلو. then go to Excel add-ins. حلو. طيب هنا browse. طيب open. ممتاز. حطي yes. حطي اوكي. بس الحين جربي حطي في التي سلوب equal تي اس مثلا. تي اس. غريبة. وتطلع الحين تي سلوب.
دكتور أنا نسيت بعد.
دقيقة بس خلاص. سكري هذا يا أروى. بتول عفوا، افتح الفايل نفسه حق الاكسل ادين. البوك 2 هذا، بوك 2 اكس ال اي ام. حطيه في ديسكتوب.
هذا
حلو هذا.
ما يفتح.
شو ما يفتح. طيب افتح الفايل الجديد يا أرو. بتول اكسل فايل جديد.
أوكي.
طيب اوكي، نرجع طول مرة ثانية. ماكرو فيجوال بيزك اديتور. حلو. طيب شفتي البوك 2 هذا فتحتي انت فوق موديول 1. اضغط على موديول 1 خلينا نشوف ايش فيه.
نفس الشيء.
طيب موديول 2
2
3
3.
4 5 6.
ليش وين راح
انا ما
الصورة؟
سجلتيهم وين؟ ما ادري عاد انا بسالك وين راح.
مسجلتهم بس ليش راحوا؟
يعني ما سجلتيهم. طيب ما علينا. احنا الحين في البوك 5 صح ولا لا؟ طيب روح على شيت 1 في البوك 5 بوك 5
وين؟
تحت يا بتول تحت عندك في بي اي
وين؟
بروجكت. لا عندك في بي اي بروجكت بوك 5 شفتيها ولا؟
لا مش
فوق
فوق. وين؟ هنا؟
انزلي تحت اللي تحت هنا شفتي في بي اي بروجكت بوك 5 شفتيه؟
ايوه
طيب روح على شيت 1 سوي رايت كليك
ايوه
انسيرت موديول.
اوكي.
حلو. الحين نروح يسوي الكوبي من الباج 94.
طيب خلينا اسويهم كل التنتين واشوف.
طيب
بس دكتور ما يطلع عندي اللي هنا اذا سويت اذا نسختهم هنا ما في انه اقدر اسكر، يعني متكبره الشاشه. عرفت علي؟
مو مشكلة. اسوي الكوبي الحين وحط الفانكشن بقول له بعد ايش اسوي.
اوكي، يعني اسوي ستوب شيرينج.
طيب حط الموديول 1 اوكي، بعدين افتح الموديول الثاني وحطي فيه الفانكشن الثاني. طيب مين بعد عنده مشاكل؟
أنا يا دكتور بس جالسة أحاول زي بتقول.
طيب انت عندك ماك ولا مايكروسوفت؟
مايكروسوفت.
طيب سوي لنا شير سكرين يا نور خلينا نشوف. الاثنين يعني سوي بالضبط. وشو؟ طيب وينه هذا؟ حطي اكسل ادين صح، هذا هو اكسل ادينز. طيب شفتي هذا حلا؟ طيب حلو، حطي اوكي. تي لا تي لا مو كذا، تي اس تي ستوب. لا خلاص حطي تجرب الحين تي اي تي انترسبت. خلاص
إيه أنا جالسة أكتب حلاوة.
لا مو بحلاوه. حلاوه ذاك الملف مو الفانكشن. ترى حلاوه مو شرط هو حلاوه اسمه حلاوه، انا لانه علي جاب لنا حلاوه بقر فسميته حلاوه بقر وبس يعني.
دكتور
طيب خلاص سكري نورة.
دكتور
سمي.
التسلا بتطلع لي واحدة ولا ثنتين المفروض؟
لا واحدة.
تمام.
شلون أوقف؟ ما أدري صراحة.
نفس تروح على شير سكرين وتحطي ستوب شير سكرين وبس. طيب مين ثاني؟ لازم خلاص اليوم عشان الاسبوع المره الجايه نبدا الشغل على طول يعني.
دكتور
سمي.
دحينك أنا أقول يمكن الغلط من طريقة الحفظ، يعني دحينك حفظها على أساس إنه إكسل أد إن، وفي ملف ثاني برضه حفظته على أساس 2003 إكسل أد إن.
لا استني
ما عندي هذيك الامتداد وزي كده، ما عندي. أنا أقول يمكن غلط من كده.
اكيد ما سويت اكسل ادين الامتداد انت؟
ما في.
شو ما في؟ لا الا فيه وعلى كيف شو وش ما فيه. طيب
ما
اول
في
شيء
يا
شوف،
دكتور.
اول شيء تسوينه الحين بعد ما نخلص المحاضره تنزلي الانجليش النسخه الانجليش حق الاكسل، ترى في الاختبار بتصير معك يحوسها انت، انه كل شيء بالانجليش، يعني كل شيء شغلنا كله بالانجليش. او سوي مثلا نسخه ثانيه، او شوفي مثلا لابتوب ثاني في الاختبار، لا تجيب النسخه العربيه، ترى تبتلي فيها بعدين. بالنسبه للحفظ يا روى، لما تسوي سيف حلو بتلاقي اكسل عاديه حلو، فتحت فيه ما ادري بالعربي ايش ترجمتها، بس تلاقي تحتها الحفظ، تحت نسخ ثانيه شيء زي كذا يعني، او ذا اكستنشنز. لما تفتحها يفتح لك بعدين اكسل اد ان، وقتها بتسجليه. طيب مين ثاني؟
دكتور
يلا يا بتول.
عادي أرجع أسوي شير
اي
سكرين.
يلا.
T-slope
26 دقيقة بس نشوف.
ونجي نحاول نسوي ماكرو هنا.
كم لقيتها؟ 26 تي سلوب. لا عاد. لا ما اتوقع. دقيقة بس، مو بهذه. خلينا نتأكد واشوف. اي صح 26 اي 0.12. حلو. طيب يا بتول يلا. طيب هذه وشو تي سلوب حلو. اضغط على موديل 1.
هذه واحدة وهذه الثانية.
خلاص حلو، الحين سكريهم يلا. لا مو كذا سكر. لا الحلال مو. سكري الفيجوال بيزك. ارجع ايه. حلو. شفت الحين حلو. الحين سكر الفيجوال بيزك بس. شفت الاكس على اليمين مو على اليسار، اللي على اليمين.
هذا
الاكس لا الثاني
هذا ولا وين؟
سكري ايه سكري بعد اللي بعدها. سكري حلو. الحين اضغطي على شفت سكري اضغط على الاكسل، اضغط عليها. الحين روحي على شفت الاكسل، في اكسل موجود على اليسار فوق على اليسار، اضغطي عليه صح. ايش
قاعدة أضغط.
المفروض اللي وش ايه بس لازم يتعلموا شو يسووا يدخلوا فانكشن يعني. وهذه وش الفائده اذا بقدر ارسله مباشر.
دكتور أرسلت لك الصورة اللي عندي، يعني ما عندي غير هذه الملفات اللي أحفظ عليها، يا إكسل أدين أو إكسل حاجة زي كذا.
دقيقة بس
طيب يا
طيب خلينا نشوف دقيقة بس أروى. طيب هنا طيب فيجوال بيزك بوك 2 اكسل. طيب حط هنا سيف. لا مو كذا، مو سيف، هذه سيف اللي تحت. حلو اي. طيب هنا شفتي هنا فايل فورمات تحت تحت بتول فايل فورمات صح. اكسل اد ان شفتي تحتها بالضبط مباشر. اي حلو خلاص. طيب سيف. طيب خلاص سكر هذا. طيب الحين بنروح على نرجع مرة ثانية تولز، نرجع مرة ثانية اكسل ادينز بروز. اوكي اوبن. اوكي اضغط على اوكي. حلو يلا جرب الحين. خلاص شفتي.
تمام وضحت دكتور شكرا.
عفوا. طيب مين ثاني؟ شوف مين أروى ايش أرسلت. طيب خلاص عندك ليش ما سويت لي حفظ على الواحد. اكسل ادين موجوده عندك.
حفظته بس برضه مو راضي يطلع، وسويت له بالوظائف إضافية وزي كده يعني بس برضه ما نفع.
طيب سويته حفظ خلاص، سويتي له حفظ. حلو. سوينا سيرش سكرين شير
مرة ثانية. طب يا دكتور راح الوقت، خليني أحاول بعدينك، وإذا
طيب.
يعني أشوف أتصرف بعدينك.
طيب خلاص. طيب
يعني دحين.
طيب خلاص.
خلاص.
اتوقع الكل خلاص اضاف التي سلوب وتي انترسبت. طيب نرجع الحين المايكروسوفت اكسل حقنا لحق التمارين. Let me just share my screen with you. So we have T slope here. We go to DJ30 equal T slope. So as usual, we start by the Y variable or the dependent variable. Then the S&P 500. And we should fix it as well. And close the parentheses. 26.126, which is very high to student. Remember, if the T student is higher than 1.96, is significant enough. We can rely on the results or the estimates we have done. So then, yes, absolutely. The threshold يعني الحد الأدنى 1.96. Less than 1.96 our results are not reliable. ما نقدر نعتمد على الاستيميتس اللي طلعناها. أكثر من 1.96 نقدر نعتمد عليهم.
دكتور أول شيء داون جونز صح؟
وشو؟
أول شيء
داون جونز. أي دائما الواي فاريبل أول شيء. وبعدين الإكس فاريبل.
لأنه ما تطلع لي المعادلة، بس يطلع لي يساوي تي ستوب وبعدين قوس بس.
أي ما يطلع لك إيه؟ أنت واحدة تختاري بعدين الواي فاريبل الداون جونز، بعدين تحطي فاصل، وبعدين تختاري الاس بي 500 اللي هو الاكس فاريبل.
اوكي وإف.
See here, all the T slope are higher than 1.96, which means that our results are, except for this one, which is Procter and Gamble, 0.92. So this one has a beta which is not significantly different from zero. So we can not rely on our estimates for Procter and Gamble. But for the remaining ones, they are all higher than 1.96. Now we do the same thing for the intercept, T-intercept here. We start by the Y variable or dependent variable, comma, then SP 500. Then I will fix it with the dollar sign. So fortunately here, it is not significantly different from zero. So we cannot rely on the estimates of the T, of the intercept, sorry. Same thing here. صح، والانترسبت لا، بس احنا دائما يهمنا اكثر السلوب اكثر من الانترسبت. السلوب هي في البيت، الانترسبت مو مره مهمه بالنسبه لنا، اهم شيء هي البيت. الانترسبت والاكسس ريتيرن. يعني the excess return more than we are expecting using the the stock market line SML. بالعكس لما تكون عندك تي انترسبت زيرو يعني هذا شيء كويس، يعني ما في اكسس ريتيرن مقارنه بالموديل اللي انت متوقع.
Close to zero, the better.
Yes.
And the number come from 0 to 1 or
For the T intercept?
both slope and
No. So for the slope, there are no bounds for the slope. But generally speaking, it is between 2 and -2.
the intercept.
The slope of the intercept. Yes. No. فرق بين السلوب وبين T slope. The T slope here is the T student. بنحكي على السلوب نفسه البيتا، يعني البيتا هذه بالنسبه للسلوب اللي ما عنده حدود، ما عنده حدود. نفس الشيء ما عنده حدود. Okay guys, so this is the first stage. So next time inshallah we move to the next past regression, so to check if our SML model holds for our results or not.
Doctor, please, how we can interpret T slope and T interpret?
So sure. The T slope and the T intercept are the T student, right? The T students are used in statistics to check if our estimates are significantly different from zero or not. Because when you make estimates, you are not sure. That's why we call them estimates, تقدير. Now, the T student will give you insights on how much your estimates are true, are right, are significantly different from zero. If you have T students higher than 1.96, so our threshold حدنا الأدنى أو الفارق بيناتنا 1.96. If your estimates, the T slope, for example, here we have 26.126, which is highly more than 1.96. This means that the beta here, 0.94, is significantly different from zero, and there is, because here it is also higher than 2.16, there's only 1% of chance that our results are false, and 99% that our results are true. Our estimates are true estimates, right? Same thing here, 8.43. So we have two thresholds. 1.96 if you have 30 students more than 1.96. This means that there is only 5% of chance that our estimates are not true, and 95% that our estimates are true. لما تلاقي عندك T students أكثر من 1.96 هذا معنى عندك احتمال بسيط 5% فقط أنه الاستيميت هذه حق السلوب البيتا هذه خاطئة.
ليش الحين قلنا 5 وقبل شوي قلنا 1% و99%؟
لأنه قلت دقيقة بس خليك معي، احنا قلنا إذا كان أكبر من 1.96 صح ولا لا؟ هذه 5%. إذا صارت أكبر من 2.16 هنا يصير احتمال خطأ 1% بس.
إذا صارت أكبر من إيش؟
2.16. هنا وتلاحظ معي أكبر من 2.16 وهنا وبعد وهنا هنا. ايش معنى
معناته احتمال الخطأ 1% واحتمال الصح 99.
صح ممتاز.
إذا أكبر من 1.96 وأقل من 2.16 معناتها 5% احتمال.
ممتاز. بينما هنا مثلا لو تلاحظ في التي انترسبت ايش لاحظ معي هنا؟ الكلهم أصغر من 1.96. ايش معنى؟ يعني الانترسبت هذه we cannot rely، ما نقدر نعتمد على يعني تقييماتنا هذه. we cannot rely on our estimates of the intercept. But it's not a big deal, but because the most important thing for us is the beta, because the beta measures the risk and the sensitivity to each stock toward the market. واضح؟
الانترسبت هذه ريسك فري ريت اقدر اقول انها هي الريسك
لا
فري
لا
ريت.
لا، الانترسبت هذه تقيس الاكسس ريتيرن compared to our assumptions of the SML. يعني احنا حاطين الاس ام ال هو يقيس شنو؟ يقيس الفير ريتيرن صح ولا لا؟ او العادل. كل ما قلت الانترسبت هذه بزياده اكبر من صفر يعني في غلط في الموديل حقك. كل ما كان صفر هذا بالعكس هذا كويس للموديل حقك يعني ما في شيء اضافي مقارنه بالموديل. وش تحكي انتربريتيشن ولا لا موجود، مو موجود في الكتاب، موجود في الكتاب الثاني حق البورتفوليو مانجمنت. المفروض درسوه هذا، المفروض صح ولا لسه البورتفوليو مانجمنت ما درسوه؟ كورس بورتفوليو مانجمنت كورس ما اخذتوه؟
طيب دكتور، اذا كانت اقل من 1.96
يعني we cannot rely on our results، ما نقدر نعتمد على
البيتا.
اي يعني بالنسبه لنا
البيتا ما اقدر اعتمد عليها.
صح. اي يصير احتمال خطا اكثر 5%، يصير يعني احتمال خطا يعني يعتبر كبير بالنسبه في الفاينانس اكثر من 5%. واضح؟ فالهمنا احنا هو التي سلوب حق البيتا، اذا اكبر من 1.96 اقل شيء خلاص نقدر نقول نقدر نعتمد على الريزلت حقه، اقل لا. لا هو شوف الفاينانشال موديلنج زي ما قلت لكم it's a practical course, so we are not supposed to learn new concepts, we are supposed to practice theoretical concepts that you have already took. لا بالعكس, they will ask you to interpret the results. Yes, absolutely, yes. For example, I can ask you what is the difference, for example, between or if you expect the market to go up, would you invest in Boeing or for example or invest in Citigroup? So you have to be able to know that because you expect the market to go up, you need an offensive or an aggressive stock. An aggressive stock is the stock with the higher beta, right? So if you compare the beta of Boeing with the one of Citigroup, clearly Citigroup is more aggressive because the beta is higher. So better invest in Citigroup. Now, if you expect a recession, better invest in Boeing because it is more defensive. شوف, don't focus. Okay, don't focus too much on the intercept. Leave it apart, right? Just focus on slope and T-slope. It's the most important part for us.
So in general, I choose the highest T-slope.
So the highest T-slope will give you insights on the credibility of your results. يعطيك فكرة على مصداقية نتائجك. The higher the T-slope, the more credible your results, the more reliable your results, right? حين بعدين الجزء الثاني. Now you have to modify or you adapt your investment strategy according to the beta and to your expectations. The rule is very simple. If you expect the market to go up in the next few days or next few weeks, invest your money on an aggressive stock. An aggressive stock is a stock with a beta higher than 1. Now, if you expect the market to go down in the next few weeks, choose the the defensive stock, with the one with the lowest beta, less than 1. Very simple, right? So this is what we call the first pass regression, and still there is the second pass regression. So the second pass regression is the regression to make us sure that the SML, the stock market line model, is the right model or not, right? So we'll leave this part for the next time, inshallah, after the holiday. So see you not next week, the week after. وانتوا بعد.
دكتور سؤال بسيط جدا.
تفضل.
الافريج ريتيرنز هذه مانثلي صح؟
هذه مانثلي صح، اي مانثلي.
ابي اسوي لها انولايزد، اضربها ب 12
بس تايمز 12 وبس.
اوكي ثانك يو.
اوكي. طيب يعطيكم العافيه يا عيال. So see you next time ان شاء الله.
الله يعطيك العافيه. شكرا دكتور.
العفو.